Hey everybody, good evening. I'm up very late, struggling with insomnia. Um, I have a lot of thoughts swimming through my mind, so I thought I would hop on here and just work through some ideas I'm having. Thinking a lot lately about the idea of embracing consistency over intensity. Um, it's one of those concepts that I embrace the truth of. I think it's an effective, positive, healthy kind of concept, but it's also one of those examples of a time that I have trouble taking my own advice. What does consistency over intensity refer to? To use a strength training example, it would be like, I want a stronger chest, so I'm going to jump on a bench press and lift just as much weight as possible until I can't physically do it anymore, and I'm going to be so sore it'll be hard to take a shower the next day. So somebody will come to exercise with that sort of attitude, and that attitude isn't a good long-term mindset. It doesn't take into account sort of the natural weather of the human brain, right? There will be days you won't feel that enthusiastic about it. There will be days when your body disagrees with you, your mind disagrees with you. And so focusing on intensity or nothing is, at least for me, a great way in the long term to choose nothing, because we can fall in love with that idea of stoic, intense, all or nothing, black and white approach to anything, not just strength training, to writing, to any kind of creative process, to friendships. You can, the human mind, in a lot of ways, understands the world through stories, right? And if you think about it, I think you'll find that a lot of the hero stories that we are told, superhero stories or just slice of life movies, a lot of them, the turn in the life of the hero is when they often do an all or nothing, superhuman, incredibly intense approach to whatever their conflict is. That can make for compelling storytelling in fiction, but it rarely matches with what a human life actually is. So consistency over intensity means that, for example, I finished a novel recently, and I did that by saying to myself, not 2,000 words a day, but 500 words a day was the goal. And it was an either or, 500 words a day or at least, 40 minutes sitting with the document. One or the other. And it works. I've tried NaNoWriMo, the National Novel Writing Month, before, and that 1,600 word a day goal attached to that never works for me. It's too much. It's too much of a burden. And so in that all or nothing, I always end up on the side of nothing. Now, referring back to what I said earlier about how I have trouble taking my own advice, it's one thing to say 500 words a day, or that it's also okay to just sit with the document for X number of minutes. It's one thing to say that. It's another thing to really feel, to really believe that that's okay. So on a day when I would have trouble writing, and I would say, all right, so I'll just set a timer. I'll put in the time. And, maybe I got a paragraph or two in that time. Timer goes off. I did it. I did it on my own terms. So then the trick is to not feel like a failure. And that's a trick of trusting my own meaning, right? In giving myself the authority to set those rules, and then appreciating myself, congratulating myself, counting it as a victory when I work inside that structure. That's the hard part. I've come to believe that so much of life is making your own meaning in, coming to reality as you find it, and in a conversation with reality, learning what you think the world means, what is meaningful to you, what is your own truth. Subjective, not objective. And I think that the skill that becomes more and more vital in that process is taking your own meaning seriously. So in my own practices, my own mental health practices, my own creative practices, one of the things I'm striving for right now is consistency over intensity. So like right now, I'm struggling with a rough bout of depression. And so, it's one of those times when I may wake up and know that I don't have a record-setting productive day ahead of me. So that is an opportunity to throw perfect out the window and look for what is enough. Look for what is more than nothing. So maybe not a super productive day, but maybe I manage to get up and take a shower, get dressed. Maybe I manage to go outside for a little bit. Maybe I fiddle with a poem or two. Maybe I manage to do a post on social media. So that's checking the box on consistency over intensity. And then the other side of that is really taking the time to appreciate myself, to congratulate myself for meeting the goal that I set out, keeping the goal humble, and then still being able to celebrate the victory when you achieve that goal, that consistency. It's, there are a lot of sayings built around that central concept, right? It's, don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good, right? There are endless adages about this concept. But our culture, the stories woven into our culture, is so profoundly aimed at this idea of going all out, go big or go home, leave it all on the field, 110%. And that just doesn't work. I mean, I know that doesn't work in my own life. I have endless examples. The example I gave earlier. In the NaNoWriMo structure, hey, you got to do 1,600 words a day. I ended up with no novel. In my 400 words or sit with the document a while approach, I ended up with a 70,000 word novel that I'm currently editing. So I'm curious to hear how you deal with these concepts, this dichotomy, this spectrum of intensity versus consistency in your own life and work. Because not every day is gonna be a day filled with inspiration. Not every day is going to be a good mental health day. Not every day is going to be the sort of day where you're in love with every aspect of your longer projects. But I have found the only way to do longer projects, longer term goals, is to find ways to celebrate those small victories, that consistency. Thanks for listening to me contemplate these ideas. And I hope you'll share your own version of of this dialogue in the comments.